Hey everybody, it's Andrew Martin, the Spiritual Rebel, coming to you with another video on this cloudy, gray, rainy October morning here in Seattle. I hope that wherever you are, that you're happy and healthy and smiling. Man, I can't believe it feels to me. I don't know when the last time I did a video was, to be perfectly honest with you. I was just sitting here kind of trying to think of like, when was the last video I did? I mean, I remember doing it. I remember the topic. I remember being outside and doing it, on the park bench, which was unusual for me. I usually do them here at my desk. But I can't for the life of me think of when I did it. And frankly, it seems like it was a lifetime ago. It seems like it was forevs, and I don't know when it was, but I mean, it'd be easy to find out, but that's not the point. It's interesting to me how time is just so elastic, and the expansion and the growth and the integration that we're all going through right now is so rapid and so intense. And it feels like, even the version of who I was when I did my last video is completely different than the version of myself that is, speaking to you right now. I mean, this expansion and this growth and the intensity of these energies is crazy right now. I mean, it's so many things. It's wonderful, it's horrible, it's exciting, it's mundane, it's joyful, it's terrible, it's wonderful and terrifying and exciting and boring, and I look forward to it as much as I resist it. I mean, I just feel like I'm all over the map these days. Today's topic, frankly, has been on my mind for a couple of weeks now. This is an idea that I've had kind of kicking around in my brain for a while, and I've thought about doing it, but, I've just been sort of mired in my own stuff, just to be totally honest and transparent. I've just been kind of going through it lately. And also, getting busier and busier all of the time, and lots of events going on, and my clients continue to kind of increase and get, my practice gets bigger and bigger, and which is all great. But then also kind of at the same time going through my own personal stuff, and just it feels like another level of expansion and integration and clearing and releasing and surrendering kind of all at once. So that's why I've been sort of, MIA. But the topic that I want to talk about today came through in a session with a client a couple of weeks ago. And it's this idea about struggle, and the concept of struggle, and we love to talk about, the struggle is real. Hashtag the struggle is real. That seems to be, that's something that's on everybody's lips. And it's very interesting to me because, the teaching that came through was that the concept of struggle, the idea of struggle, is a purely human creation. And that the divine self, the true self, our higher selves, the larger part of who we are, does not identify with the idea or the concept of struggle. And that is not to say that, because the minute I say that, I can hear you going, well, what? Wait a minute, my life is falling apart. These horrible things are happening. Look at all of this negativity. Look at all of this awful, stuff. And the interesting thing is that the concept of struggle, or the lack of the idea of struggle, whether we're looking at it from a human perspective or a divine perspective, it does not mean that our circumstances will not be uncomfortable or challenging or whatever they are. But when we speak of struggle, the divine self speaks in terms of opportunity and growth and healing and surrender and love and truth and integration and expansion and evolution. The divine self does not identify with the idea of struggle. And in fact, when things get, intense, or when life seems to sort of turn up the volume and turn up the heat, and we're all of a sudden feeling like all of this stuff is just sort of kind of crashing down around us or impacting us, or, it's just this difficult, and everywhere we turn, no matter where we turn, it just seems to be one thing after another after another. The divine self does not identify with that as a struggle. The divine self identifies that with it as a powerful, powerful opportunity to really expand more greatly and more deeply and more profoundly into the truth of who we are, which is powerful, eternal, infinite, incredibly astounding, and limitless beings. And it's interesting because I've been getting, even this morning in my meditation, and I traded healing sessions with a colleague, a friend on Monday, and I was doing my readings at the bookstore on Monday, and she does healings there, and so we decided to trade, and I did a reading for her, and she did a healing session for me, and it was so amazing. But they showed me, while I was in this healing state, they showed me an image of a football field, and even this morning when I was meditating, they showed me the image of a football field, and they've been throwing a lot of sports metaphors at me lately, which is very interesting to me because I'm not at all interested in sports. But this idea that without the game, the athlete would not know how agile she is, how strong she is. She wouldn't understand her levels of endurance. She wouldn't understand how contained and how capable she is within the construct of the game. She would have no way of testing all the training and the work and the sacrifice and the dedication that she has put in. Without the game, the athlete would not know how powerful she really is. And it's the same thing with us, without life to sort of challenge us and give us the opportunity to test the things that we've learned and to flex our muscles and use our gifts and abilities. Without life calling us and challenging us, we wouldn't, what's the point? And, sort of in that same vein, another message that came through was, directly from someone's higher self in a session a couple of weeks ago was, you didn't come here to play chutes and ladders. You didn't come, this woman came to me and she was really, really fucking stressed out. Like life was just giving it to her. Life was really handing her a ration of shit. She was not in a great place. And I totally, and that's the thing is, how do we honor the human experience of, wow, life is really, really shitty and tough right now? How do we honor that and allow ourselves to acknowledge that things feel difficult or challenging or intense, but still see it as an opportunity? And the sign, the message that came through loud and clear from her higher self was, honey, you didn't come here to play chutes and ladders. This is not an ages 3 to 5 situation. Like anything that comes to us in terms of a challenge or an opportunity or a difficulty or a trial or a test or just, it kind of seems to be coming at you, we need it. And we want it. And from a soul perspective, we have chosen it because we knew it was exactly what we were ready for. We knew it was exactly what we needed. We knew that it was exactly what we wanted. Because without the game, how would the athlete know how great of a player he really is? And it's about, another layer to this message is it's about detachment, understanding that life is going to bring us what it brings us. And sometimes that's reaping the rewards. Sometimes what it brings us is what we're like, yes, this is what I want. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. These are the things I've been dreaming about. These are the things I've been working towards. And it's so exciting. And now I get to pick the fruit and savor it and enjoy it and have a wonderful experience of it. And so it's about allowing ourselves to reap the rewards, but also understanding that when challenges come to us and opportunities come to us and things that seem difficult or uncomfortable or inconvenient come to us, it's about leaning into them and engaging them with just as much presence and intensity as we do lean into and are present for the benefits. Do you understand? It's about engaging with the good stuff, quotes around that, the good stuff as much as we engage with the bad stuff, quotes around that, and understanding that it is our attachment to it that only really ever allows it to be perceived as a struggle. It is about understanding that from a place of mastery, from a place of being balanced and aligned and in my truth, the good stuff is no more powerful or has no more of an influence on me than the bad stuff does, and that I can engage both of them readily and willingly and with just as much gusto and fervor. And that detachment is what allows us to say, look, I know what I want. I know what I'm creating. I've got my intentions. I've got my wish list. I've got my vision board. I've got my dreams. I've set, I'm ready to go. These are the things that I'm moving towards. And I am also willing to allow my divine self, my true self, to come in and sort of maybe throw a monkey wrench in things every once in a while, or come in and say like, hey, what about this? Or why don't you move in this direction? Or, plot twist, we're moving in this direction now, and allowing ourselves to go with the flow while still understanding that how we choose to engage with something is what creates more of it. My own practice is a perfect example of this. I've been doing this full time now for, I would say, it's been about 3 years. And I've had, in terms of financial success and in terms of, always having what I need in terms of, how much money is in the bank, because here I am just looking at this from a purely financial perspective, but part of my own struggle, right, has been to, how do I make this sustainable and make it something that's viable and full-time legit? Because to be honest, the past 9 months-ish, it hasn't been enough to sustain me full time. I have had to rely on family and friends to get me by financially. And the work that I do is still wonderful and valuable and amazing. And every month it seems that things get bigger and more expanded. But I just kind of realized a couple of weeks ago that, it is what it is. And me walking around trying to carry the burden of having to do this all on my own and having to force it and make it and push it and shove it and, just kind of pushing that boulder up the hill. Anytime we find ourselves doing all of that heavy lifting and things seem to be really resistant and we just can't seem to get it moving or get it going, that's always a sign that we are doing all of the heavy lifting on our own and that we're not relying on our divine helpers. We're not letting them come in and say, hey, you're doing a really good job, but right now it's a matter of timing and it's just not the time yet, Andrew, for you to be doing this full-time 100% all of the time. So rather than me continue to force it and make it try to be something that it's not ready to be yet, I decided to take a part-time job. And I was very resistant to the idea of taking a part-time job for a long time. And honestly, it's been on my mind for several months now. And I've sort of half-assed gone and sort of applied for things or sent my resume, but nothing really happened. And, to be perfectly honest, my heart wasn't really in it because in my mind, I thought that because I had to take a part-time job meant that I was a failure at doing what I do. And what I finally realized was, it's not about trying to find a part-time job because I'm a failure. It's about finding a part-time job that allows the resources that I require to be brought to me through my effort and my work and my commitment to helping somebody out, 20 hours a week-ish. And allowing that to be a way that I continue to support my journey of moving into doing this work full time and staying committed to doing that, but understanding that the responsibility for this to happen doesn't rest solely on my shoulders. That a lot of it is allowing divine help to come in and do their part too and guide me to it. And as soon as I sort of detach from it and go, wait a minute, I've just been looking at this as a fucking full-time struggle when it doesn't have to be. And what I saw originally as failure by saying that I had to take a part-time job or choosing to take a part-time job didn't mean that I was a failure. It just means that I'm being, realistic about where things are right now. And it is okay for me to say, 20 to 25 hours a week working for somebody else would actually be a blessing because it would allow me to sort of step back from my practice, give it some breathing room while it continues to grow, while the cake, I've said this before, sometimes the cake's just gotta bake. And divine timing is something that we can't really circumvent. And just understanding that things are going to take the time that they take. And as long as I show up in commitment and service to it, it will continue to guide me and let me know, hey, Andrew, we need you over here. So I come over here and I do my thing, and then I go do my part-time job. And then it kind of gives me a knock and says, hey, Andrew, we have something else for you to do. Here's a client, or here's an idea for a video, or, a blog posting, or whatever, or a class or a workshop. So the struggle is not real. That's the message, is that the struggle is only a matter of perspective. And that without the game, without the challenges, without life pushing us, because growth and expansion does not happen in the comfort zone. And when life calls us out of our comfort zone, it's calling us there because it's providing us with the opportunity to experience what we need to experience to get to where we're going. And it doesn't have to be a struggle. Challenging, absolutely. Inconvenient, quite often. Uncomfortable, certainly. A little bit difficult, totally. Because we didn't come here to play Chutes and Ladders. This is not Candyland. We're not playing ages 5 and up, 3 to 5, 5 and up. It's a game that gives us the challenge and the difficulty that we need, that we're ready for. So the struggle is not real. The struggle is a choice. And as we continue to proceed with as much detachment as we can, enjoying the fruits of our labors, reaping the rewards, but also understanding that the hard work of plowing the field and planting the seeds and leaning in to the difficulty, leaning into the challenges and saying, you know what? This is my life completely. It is all my life. And success is no more of a sign that my work is over than difficulty is a sign that I am a failure. They're both part of the process. They're both two sides of the coin. And we came here to play the game. So that's it. The struggle is not real. Hashtag, the struggle is not real. The struggle is a choice. The circumstances are absolutely what they are, but how we choose to perceive them is what creates our experience. So that's it. As always, you can go to my website. Check me out there. I would encourage you to go to my events page, because there's a link to my meetup.com page, which is where all of my stuff I'm posting. So all of my classes and workshops and meetup groups that I'm either hosting or participating in are posted there. Check out my services page, because I've made some changes. Everything has been integrated into just a one-on-one service, and whatever needs to come through is what comes through. So sometimes it's channeling, sometimes it's healing, sometimes it's, just a sort of a straight up reading. It just kind of depends. I've also raised the rate on my services, and I have also reintroduced my 30-minute service. So you can now do a 30-minute session with me if you can't afford a full hour, or if you just need a little bit of guidance, sort of a tune-up. So go to my website, thelightedones.com. Check me out there. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Thank you as always for watching. I love you. I hope that you're doing well, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.